Hello students, welcome to 12th lecture of electrochemistry. So in previous lecture we discussed about Faraday's law and we calculated how we can obtain desired quantity of the metal or other elements using electricity. And we find out the relationship between the number of moles or mass of the metal or non-metal with the electricity passed through the solution or electrode. So we derived some equations and then we calculated the amount of metal obtained at the cathode by passing the electricity. We also discussed one numerical. Now if you have any difficulty regarding to those points, feel free to ask. And now we are moving on our next point, which is product of electrolysis. Now as mentioned here, we are going to discuss about electrolysis. That means we will apply the electricity to obtain certain chemical reactions and we will try to obtain some products out of our solutions. So product of electrolysis depend on the nature of material being electrolyzed and the type of electrode being used. If electrode is inert, example gold or platinum, is that it does not participate in the chemical reaction and acts only as a source or sink of electron. Now source, that means if you have platinum as a cathode, then it will behave as a source of electron because it will provide the electrons towards the positive ion present inside the solution and it will get electron from the anode. And if you are using platinum as an anode, then it will behave as a sink of electron. Ions will be released and it will lose the electrons, and loosed electrons will be absorbed. We can say that one type of absorbance of the electron by the anode, and it will transfer the electron towards the cathode. So as an anode, if you have inert metals, it will behave as a sink, and if you have cathodic inert electrodes, then it will behave as a source. On the other hand, if electrode is reactive, it participates in the electrode reaction. Thus product of electrolysis may be different for reactive and inert electrodes. The product of electrolysis depend on the different oxidizing and reducing species present in the electrolytic cell and their standard electrode potential. Now keep in mind, this point is very useful and important. It depends on standard electrode potential. So assume a situation in which you have two different positive ions and two different negative ions, and we need one oxidation and one reduction reaction. So as we know, on cathode you will get reduction reaction and on anode you will get oxidation reaction, but only one element can be reduced and only one element can be oxidized. If you have two of both of them, that means you have two positive ions and both are able to be reduced, and two negative ions and both are able to be oxidized, then what will happen? Which of these two will oxidize or which of the other two will reduce? So it depends on their standard electrode potential. How? We will discuss it with suitable examples so you can understand it. But in short, quickly understand that if you have copper and silver at the same time in the same solution, then what will happen? So both of them will try to reduce itself because they are comparatively non-reactive, or their atomic states are more stable than their ionic state. So they will try to convert themselves into atoms by accepting electron. So which of these two will accept electron strongly? Okay, so if silver accepts electron strongly, then it will reduce and copper will remain as ion, or if copper attracts electron strongly, then it will reduce and silver will remain as Ag plus ion. So let us place the values of each. So reduction potential of copper, as we know, it is 0.34 and reduction potential of silver, it is 0.80. So as we can see, reduction potential of silver is higher. It represents it has more tendency to reduce than copper. Okay, copper has 0.34 and silver has 0.8 of reduction potential value. Higher the value, more substance or particle will be reduced. So it represents silver has more tendency to reduce, that means it attracts electrons strongly. So obviously if we place electron between them, silver will attract electrons strongly, and that's why silver reduction will occur and copper will remain as Cu2 plus ion. Copper is not able to reduce itself until all the 100% silver ions are reduced. If all the ions are already consumed, then reduction of copper will take place only after complete removal of Ag plus ions. Okay, so same situation can be obtained for second set, that means for oxidation reaction. In reduction reaction, higher reduction potential value will be reduced or it will participate in reaction, and lower value won't participate in reaction. On the other hand, in oxidation reaction, that means reaction occurring on anode, higher reduction potential value won't participate in reaction, but lower reduction potential value will participate. Okay, so that means for reduction and oxidation we have opposite relationship. On the reducing side, that means on cathode, element with high reduction potential value will takes place, or reaction of a element which has higher reduction potential value will occur. And on anode, opposite is true, that means anode gives oxidation reaction, and for oxidation reaction lower reduction potential value will occur. That means element having lower reduction potential value will oxidize on anode, and element having higher reduction potential value will reduce on cathode. So in short, suppose we have a set like this, two positive ions and two negative ions. So both of these positive ions will try to reduce, that means they will participate on cathodic reaction, or actually they will compete with each other on cathode. On the other hand, C minus and D minus, both of them will oxidize and oxidation reaction will place on anode. So they will compete with each other for oxidation reaction. So which of them will oxidize and which of them will reduce? So concentrate on the reduction potential values of each. First, let us talk about the cathodic reaction. So higher reduction potential value represents this element has more tendency to reduce itself. That's why B plus will participate in reduction reaction and no change in A plus will be observed. So on cathode, our reaction will be B plus will become B by accepting electron. Now what about the anodic reaction? So on anode, lower reduction potential value will be oxidized. Higher reduction potential value represents it will reduce itself, and lower reduction potential value represents it will oxidize itself. So lowest value will be for the C minus, which is minus 0.5, which has lowest reduction potential value. So in this case, C minus will lose electron and it will become element C, and no reaction or no change for D minus will be observed. So on cathode, reaction of B plus will be observed, and on anode reaction of C minus will be observed, and you will get at the final stage you will get solution of AD, that means A plus D minus ionic solution. So this type of competition will occur on both of the electrodes if we have more than one type of set of ions, and it depends on their reduction potential values. Now let us move on. Moreover, for the some electrochemical processes, although feasible, are slow kinetically, and at a lower voltage these do not seem to take place, an extra potential has to be applied, or it is called overpotential, which makes such processes more difficult to occur. That means in certain cases you will notice, instead of let us say we are talking about anode. So on anode usually lower reduction potential values will participate in oxidation, but in certain example you will notice higher reduction potential values are actually participates on anode oxidation reaction. Why this type of situation occurs? So reason is mentioned, they are so slow kinetically, and at lower voltage they do not seems to takes place because of extra potential or over potential. Now what is over potential? For that we need to learn chemical kinetics first, but let us quickly discuss it. Let me give you quick explanation. Now certain reaction, although they are spontaneous, or they are exothermic. They won't start themselves. Assume you have a glass of petrol and you place it on a table. Now we know that when petrol burns, it releases comparatively very high amount of energy or heat. So it is combustion of petrol is feasible reaction and it is spontaneous reaction and it will complete itself. But what happened if we just put glass of petrol on a table without any external effort? Then it won't start releasing energy. For that we need to place spark on it, or we have to ignite the petrol first and then it will start exothermic reaction. So external support requirement is called overpotential, or we can say that activation energy. Although spontaneous, but still reactions requires activation energy. We have to give some push to obtain the reaction. Okay, so this extra push or initial push, it is called activation energy or overpotential. So certain reactions requires this type of external support, and sometimes these external support values are quite high. So at lower voltage, this type of extra overpotential is not sufficient to initiate the reaction. That's why instead of lower reduction potential value containing element, higher reduction potential will participate in reaction. Okay, we will discuss it with suitable example as follow. So first example is mentioned, if we use molten NaCl. Now keep in mind, molten NaCl, that means we have solid sodium chloride and we are just melting it. So nothing else is present in it. Only Na plus and Cl minus ions are present. So the product of electrolysis are sodium metal and Cl2 gas, where we have only one cation and one anion, which is Na plus, which will participate in reduction reaction by accepting electron, and Cl minus will participate in oxidation reaction by releasing electron. So both of them are mentioned here. Na plus accepts electron and becomes Na metal, and Cl minus releases electron and becomes Cl2 gas. So as expected, from the NaCl you will get sodium metal and chlorine gas. Now during the electrolysis of aqueous sodium chloride solution, the products are NaOH, Cl2 and H2. Now why this type of situation occurs? Assume a situation as for example. Now quickly let us discuss both of the examples. Suppose as mentioned in first example, we have molten NaCl. That means we have Na plus and Cl minus ions in molten state. So in this solution we have Na plus and Cl minus molten solution. Actually it is not solution, but it is molten NaCl. So on anode oxidation reaction takes place, and on oxidation reaction, as we discussed, Cl minus will convert itself into Cl2. It will release the electron, and released electron will travel from this conductive wire on the surface of cathode. And now on cathode, Na plus will accept the electron and it will reduce into sodium metal. Okay, so our main products on cathode, it is Na sodium metal, and on anode it is Cl2 gas when we have molten NaCl solution. But what will happen when we have NaCl aqueous solution as an electrolytic solution? Now here as we can see, we have Na plus and Cl minus ions, but it is aqueous solution. That means this also contains water. NaCl is dissolved in water, and we know that water also produces its own ions, which will be H plus and OH minus. So that means now in this case we have two positive ions and we have two negative ions, and both of them will compete with each other. So we have to find their potentials, reduction potentials, to confirm which of them will be reduced and which of them will be oxidized. So let us see. So as we can see here, for Na plus it is minus 2.71, and for H plus we know that it is 0. Okay, because standard hydrogen potential which will be considered as 0. So obviously we have two different values for the reduction, and higher value will be obtained at a cathode. That means higher value from these two, obviously it is hydrogen. So hydrogen will be reduced on the cathode and sodium will remain as Na plus, because sodium's reaction is not possible. If you remove all of the hydrogen, then you can get the reduction of sodium. Until that, only hydrogen will be reduced at cathode. Okay, so first you will get reaction of hydrogen on cathode. Now second situation for chlorine Cl minus and for OH, that means actually OH will obtain from H2O. So as mentioned here, we have Cl minus, which is 1.36. Its potential value is 1.36, and for second reaction, when the production of O2 occurs, it is 1.23. So value of Cl is more than oxygen. That means if you want to produce Cl2 gas and if you want to produce O2 gas, then reduction potential of Cl2 is higher than O2. So in this reaction we are talking about anode, so that means lower value will be preferred. So lower value belongs to oxygen, that means instead of chlorine, oxygen should be produced on anode. But oxygen requires over potential. As discussed earlier, certain elements requires more activation energy or over potential is required. That's why reaction of oxygen won't start at lower energy. That's why reaction of chlorine will occur and you will get Cl2 on anode. So overall net reaction, as we discussed here, NaCl in water gives Na plus and Cl minus. So cathodic reaction will be H2O accepts electron and you will get H2 gas produced, and anodic reaction will be Cl minus will produce Cl2 gas. So one ion from NaCl will participate and one ion from H2O will participate. From NaCl you will get reaction of Cl2 and Cl2 gas will be produced. That means Na will remain as Na plus. No reaction for Na plus will be obtained. From H2O, production of H2 will obtain. That means OH minus will remain. Okay, so that means Cl2 and H2 will produce on anode and cathode, and inside the solution left is Na plus and OH minus. That means inside the solution NaOH solution will be obtained, and you can collect solid NaCl from that solution by just drying it. Okay, just let water evaporate and you will get solid NaOH, sodium hydroxide. So by electrolysis of NaCl you will get H2 produced at cathode, Cl2 produced at anode, and solution will be NaOH solution. You can collect sodium hydroxide from the solution. Now standard electrode potentials are replaced by electrode potentials given by Nernst equation to take into account the concentration effect. During the electrolysis of sulfuric acid, the following process are possible at the anodes. We have solution of H2SO4, that means H2SO4 can produce H plus and SO4 2 minus. From H plus obviously you may get H2, and from SO4 2 minus you can get S2HO2, you can get S2O8 2 minus. So these two reactions are possible from H2SO4. And second set we have water, that means you will get H plus and OH minus. So H plus again it will give us H2 and OH minus can give us O2. So that means for the cathodic reaction we don't have any competition because we have H plus from both of the sets. But for anodic reaction we do have some competition. We have SO4 2 minus and OH minus. That means if SO4 2 minus will participate in reaction, then product at the anode will be S2O8 2 minus, and if OH minus participates, then it is O2. So first possible reaction, as we can see here, it is for oxygen, production of oxygen, which has potential, reduction potential of 1.23. And second possibility is SO4 2 minus will participate in reaction and S2O8 2 minus will obtain. So it has 1.96 volts of potential. Now as we know, for oxidation or on anode, lower reduction potential value will be obtained. So that means for a dilute sulfuric acid, reaction 3.38 is preferred, but at higher concentration of H2SO4, reaction 3.39 is preferred. So it depends on concentration as well. So higher concentration and lower concentration gives different type of product because of over potential. Now here some questions are mentioned, so how can you calculate them? Let us discuss it and then try to solve it yourself. So first question, if the current of 0.5 ampere flows through a metallic wire for 2 hours, then how many electrons would flow through the wire? So in this case our equation will be Q is equal to I into T. So I ampere, which is mentioned here, it is 0.5. Now time we need to use it in seconds, but it is mentioned in hours, so convert 2 hours equals second. Okay, so 60 minutes in 1 hour multiply by 60, so 3600 or 3600 seconds for 1 hour, and for 2 hours you will get 7200 seconds. So 0.5 multiply by 7200, so you will get Q is equal to 3600 or 3600. So it is the value in coulombs. Okay, and we know that 1 Faraday is equal to 1 mole of electron, and it is equal to 96,487. So if 96,487 coulomb is equal to 1 mole, then here value of Q also represents the coulomb. It is equal to how many? So you have to place a cross multiplication. 96,487 is equal to 1 mole of electron. Then here you will get 3600 coulombs is equal to how many electrons, and you will get your answer. Second, suggest a list of metals that are extracted electrolytically. That means you can use the reference of other unit, metal extraction unit. So general principles of metal extraction, in that unit most of the metals are mentioned which can be electrolytically obtained. Okay, so you can refer that unit and you can find your answer, and in this unit also some metals are mentioned, so you can read the current unit and you can find your answer as well. Next, consider the reaction Cr2O7 2 minus plus 14H plus 6 electrons gives 2Cr3 plus 7 H2O. What is the quantity of electricity in coulombs needed to reduce 1 mole of Cr2O7 2 minus? Now you need to find the value of electrons in moles, and then we can convert them into coulombs. So first of all, let us find the number of moles of electron requirement for this reaction. And how can you do it? First of all, you have to find the species which is being reduced or oxidized. But here question specifically is asked for Cr2O7 2 minus. So we have to concentrate on it. So here we have Cr2O7 2 minus. That means we have Cr and O in this case. So oxidation state of oxygen before and after reaction do not change. So no need to concentrate on oxygen. We have to concentrate on Cr only. So first of all, you need to find what is the oxidation state of Cr in Cr2O7 2 minus. And direct answer is plus 6. Oxidation state of Cr in Cr2O7 2 minus is plus 6. And 1 Cr2O7 2 minus contains 2 chromium. So that means when we try to convert Cr2O7 2 minus into Cr3 plus, actual change in oxidation state is for chromium it was plus 6 before reaction, and after reaction it is plus 3, which we can see. But we have 2 of them, that means 2 Cr per 1 mole of Cr2O7 2 minus. So total number of electron transfer for 1 Cr it is 3 electron, and we are transferring 2 of them, we are converting 2 of them. So that means for 1 mole we need to use 6 moles of electron. That's why 6 moles of electron is mentioned here. So 6 moles of electron, that means 6 Faraday. For 1 mole of Cr2O7 2 minus we need 6 Faraday or 6 moles of electron. And now you have to convert the 6 Faradays into coulombs. 1 Faraday is equal to 96,487. then 6 Faradays is equal to how many? Okay, you can now find your answer. And if you find any difficulty, feel free to ask. In next lecture, we are going to discuss about batteries and corrosion. Thank you.